Welcome to Phil Wilson Chats with Celebrities. And here is your host, Phil Wilson.
Celebrating 60 years since his iconic performance on The Ed Sullivan Show in America, I Couldn't Have Done It Without You is the fantastic new single from legendary singer Billy J. Kramer, taken from the brand new album Are You With Me? And Billy joins me now. How are you doing, Billy?
Hi, Phil. I'm very well. How are you doing?
I'm very good. Thank you very much. It's just a privilege to speak to you because after playing your music on the radio for many years, and I've got so many favourites, I thought we better get you on the show because our listeners will absolutely love, hearing you and hearing your brand new single and about your new album.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
It's really refreshing as well because as soon as I heard the single, I was going, it starts the song and then you go, my goodness, that is Billy J. Kramer.
You mean it's distinctive? Yeah.
Definitely, it's got that sound there, you see, because as soon as it starts, you think, is this going to be a Billy J. Kramer classic? And then all of a sudden, it just goes bang, and it hits you, and your vocal comes straight through, and your trademark voice is still there.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I'm very pleased with it. It was written by a guy called Mark Hudson, who's a great writer. And I'm very, very pleased with it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But for listeners who are new to your music, please can you tell us, when did you discover your musical talent?
Well, I firstly sang in a choir when I was a kid at school. And then I formed a band with my schoolmates and neighborhood friends. And I was quite content to just play guitar behind somebody else. But the band we had, they kept changing the singer all the time. And then the guy suggested, that I do the singing, which I wasn't really up for. But they said, your guitar playing's not getting very good, so you better try singing or we're going to dump you. So I tried singing and, did some auditions and started getting gigs. That's how it started.
And were you a performer at school at all?
Not really, no. I was a very shy kid. I was very reserved, very quiet. Still that way.
You still are. Yeah, I think it's when you go on stage, you're on your game, as it were, but then you go back into yourself, as it were, as being a performer.
Yeah, I think so. You get the adrenaline rush, and once you get up in front of people, it's you get moving. I still get nervous, to tell you the truth. I think it's only natural. Because let's face it, is there a natural thing to get up and start jumping around in front of people?
Yes.
It's a bit crazy, really.
It is. That's rock and roll, as they say. Now, who were your idols at the time when you were growing up?
All the rock and rollers, Buddy Holly, Eddie Cochran, Gene Vincent, Fats Domino, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, a lot of people. I still love Roy Orbison too, a lot of these people.
And they still have got it going for them, haven't they? When you listen to the music, it's like, you can be still there in that time zone as soon as you hear them.
Well, they're the classic, they're classics, some fantastic songs, like, let's face it, Runaway by Del Shannon was a fantastic record.
Yes, definitely.
Roy Orbison, Only the Lonely, Pretty Woman, the classics, they're with us to stay,
Definitely, and especially when you're on vinyl as well, which we'll talk about as well a little bit later on, because I'll be asking you a vinyl question. So nothing to worry about because it's dead straightforward, because I bet you've bought lots of vinyl records over your time. Now, you were born William Howard Ashton and you grew up in Bootle, a suburb in Liverpool. And upon leaving school, you became a trainee engineer by day and an aspiring singer by night, performing under the stage name of Billy Kramer. Did you find it difficult juggling your day job and your evening gigs?
Yes, because I'll be honest with you, it was a very heavy job. It was a very dirty job. Like getting home from work after work, knocking off at 5 o'clock at night and then rushing home and getting cleaned up and, loading a van. And you'd get to the gig, you'd have to set the gear up, you have to do the gig, break it down, go home. And, it got to a point where, when I think I was 19, where I had to make a decision. It was one thing or the other, and very fortunately, I came very high in the Merseybeat popularity poll. I came second to the Beatles,
Wow.
Which brought me the attention of Brian Epstein around, and he approached me just at a very critical time when I was about to leave Liverpool as part of my training. He stepped in and offered me a contract, and I jumped at it, quite frankly.
Yeah, and we're going to jump on that very, very soon and talk about that. Now, this is exactly what you've generally been coming up to, because an early gig saw you perform at the Iron Door Club in Liverpool in March 1961 with the Coasters. Is that where John Lennon spotted your potential as a performer?
It could have been a number of places, because I'd worked shows with the Beatles, like at the Cavern, the Aintree Institute, the Blair Hall, the Majestic Ballroom. I did a lot of gigs with them, so it could have been any of them.
And John urged Brian Epstein to sign you to an exclusive management contract and enabled your dream to leave your day job and become a full-time entertainer. What was it like, your initial reaction to getting this offer and meeting Brian in his office, where I understand he had company?
It was a bit overwhelming, but it was very exciting. I'll be honest with you, Brian was such a good manager. I wouldn't have taken a chance with any other manager that was around at the time. I could see what a great job he was doing for the Beatles, and that's what I knew. I was doing the right thing.
And you could see that he was but somebody who was in the when you meet somebody who knows what they're talking about in the music industry, and that's probably how you had the confidence in him. Is that right?
Well, I had a lot, Brian was very, he would come to shows, he would watch the show, he would come backstage afterwards and critique you, what songs you'd done, what songs to leave in, what to take out, how to announce songs. He was very hands-on.
Give you the advice with a stage presence and such like.
Absolutely, yes.
Great advice it is as well when you're first starting out.
Yeah, great stuff.
Now, I hear the J of Billy J. Kramer was added later to sound more rock and roll. Was that your idea, or was it Brian's?
It was John Lennon's. I got a call about a month before I released my first record, which was Do You Want to Know a Secret? And I went into Brian's office and he said, John's got a suggestion. I said, well, what is it? And he said, I think you should add a J to make it more rock and rolly and make it catch on. So, I said, I'll take it.
And you'll be pleased for it as well.
It worked.
It definitely does. Definitely. Yeah. Now, where did your stage name come from originally?
The guys in the band said at the time, we've got to find the stage name, and they got like 10 or 12 different names. They called up the telephone operator and said, which one do you like the best? And she picked
Great.
She picked Billy Kramer, so that's what they went with. I knew it had to be Billy something,
Yeah, because it's a nice catchy name, isn't it?
Well, I guess so.
Friendly.
Thank you. Yeah.
Very friendly name it is. Yes, Billy J. Kramer. Yes, it definitely has stuck. Now, in March of 1963, you were the first person to have a hit record with the Lennon-McCartney song, as you mentioned, Do You Want to Know a Secret, which was your debut on the UK chart, hitting the heights of number 2, which was written especially for you by John and Paul and recorded with George Martin at Abbey Road Studios, even before the Beatles recorded it themselves. Did you have a feeling it would be a hit?
I'll tell the truth. I learned the song. Brian Epstein gave me a tape of Sean singing it on an acoustic guitar. I was playing it with the band. I played it all the gigs. I played it at the Star Club in Hamburg. I was there for a number of months. And then I auditioned for George Martin. I was very surprised. I didn't think it was that good, but Brian said, George wants to go along with it. And lucky for me, it was a big hit.
It's amazing, isn't it, how fate lends a hand, isn't it? Because when I was speaking to Mick of the Rubettes, he said he was various bands were offered Sugar Baby Love, and they said it was no good, and then all of a sudden they said, "Oh well, we'll have that," and they're here with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's you make records. To me, you go and you record a song, you give it your best shot. And it's you never know what the public are going to go for, You never know.
It's just a great surprise, isn't it? Yeah. Now, what was it like appearing in the charts with you being at number 2, Billy Fury at number 3 with When Will You Say I Love You, and the Beatles at number 1 with From Me to You?
What was it like? Well, it was, I was excited, I was a big fan of the Beatles. I was a big fan of Billy Fury's, and there I was up there with them, It was very exciting, very exciting.
It just looks amazing, doesn't it? When you look at the chart positions and you go, my goodness, you were sandwiched in between two of your idols, as it were.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
You just couldn't write it, could you? Excellent. Now, where were you when you found out you were number 2 in the UK chart, and was there a celebration?
I was in Oxford, funny enough. I was staying in a hotel, and the phone rang, and it was Brian Epstein, and he says, tomorrow you're going to be number 1 in some charts, and number 2 in others. And I was like, where do I go from here? I was in shock.
I bet it was as well. I mean, after all of the hard work that you'd put in as well over the years, to get that recognition, I bet it was amazing.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I was surprised, very surprised, but obviously excited, and I was very grateful for it, But, you just never know. You're just this kid, work at a day job, and you record a song, and the next thing you're a household name,
It's a wonderful feeling, feeling. Now, your second single followed, and you hit number 1 with Bad to Me, also written by Lennon McCartney, spending 4 weeks at the top. And after all your hard work, it certainly paid off. Did your life change overnight?
Oh yeah, my life changed overnight. There was I remember sort of like I did my first TV shows as soon as 6:30 in Manchester, and I just went to Manchester on the train. I did it, and then I came home, and there was these kids outside the house, screaming kids, and and it just went crazy. Overnight like that.
It's amazing, isn't it, how the fans at the time, it was, it was really, people, screaming fans and such like. Was it something that you were able to sing along with all the screaming?
It was very difficult, I didn't know what all the fuss was about,
Obviously,
it was great stuff,
It's
You know, I
wonderful.
mean,
It's wonderful. Yeah.
oh, it is. It is. It was a big surprise. Big surprise.
Especially having all those fans on your doorstep there.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was crazy. You know.
Hey, it's excellent. I love it. Now, it's 60 years, would you believe, since you were invited to appear on the Ed Sullivan Show on the 7th of June, 1964. What was it like getting the invite to appear on this iconic show?
Well, I mean, obviously, it was the biggest show in America. And I'd seen the reaction the Beatles had to it. It's a bit, how do you feel when there's going to be 77 million people looking at you?
Wow.
So it was very exciting. And on top of that, I did the Ed Sullivan Show, and the following week I appeared at the World's Fair for a week.
Right.
It was magical. It was magical.
A great time as well to be on the Ed Sullivan Show as well, with, of course, like I say, the Beatles and such like appear on this iconic show. Now, I mentioned about the screaming fans outside of your house. Were you able to hear yourself over the screams of fans in the Ed Sullivan Theatre?
Just about. I mean, the thing is, it appears to be. It's not a big theatre. It's pretty small, but it seems like it's a lot more than what it was, But they were they were great. It was great time.
Yeah, with people screaming downstairs, and also that a balcony as well, didn't they?
Yeah, it was crazy.
It'd have been definitely, with it being a bit of a smaller auditorium than what people see on the television, because things are bigger on the TV, don't they?
It appears to be much bigger than what it was, yeah. But it was still the fact that 77 million people are looking at it,
It's just mind-blowing, isn't it? Yeah. Now, did Ed Sullivan give you any advice before your live performance? Because sometimes the act would be there and he wouldn't really, speak with the artist. It would be like, they're on the stage, here they are, kind of thing. And then you'd have a chat afterwards.
I spoke with him very little, to tell you the truth. Very little. He introduced himself and he was very polite, and that was it. I didn't have a big conversation with him. No, I didn't. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I went to the rehearsal during the day. And then I went back to the hotel, and I came back to the theatre just in time to go on. I was just announced, and I went on, and that was it.
I suppose you weren't having to hang about and let the nerves build up. It was like, you're out there, 77 million people, just go and do it.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah. But you do it.
Exactly. I suppose it would be like if somebody had just said, right, you're going on stage on the London Palladium now, off the street, get on now. You would go on, wouldn't you? You wouldn't have time to think.
I'll be honest with you, I did the London Palladium, and I had a meltdown. It was like, it was so, I was overwhelmed by it,
Wow.
I did the London Palladium. That was, I was just a young kid, working on the railway, and then another 2 years I was top of the bill at the Palladium. It was,
Total shock to the system.
I felt I hadn't walked the boards for long enough, That's how I felt.
I bet. Yeah. Now, can you remember who you were on the Ed Sullivan Show with?
No, I can't, at the moment, I can't offend. I think it was some Western guy from one of the Western series. I can't remember. They used to have these plate spinners and people like that on Ed Sullivan,
Was it was like Britain's Got Talent, except it was back then?
Oh, yeah.
It sounds great. Yeah. I wonder if you had Tex Ritter on there or someone.
I don't think it was Tex Ritter.
Excellent. I love that story there. Now, on your return to the UK, the next single was I'll Keep You Satisfied, reaching the heights of the top 10 and getting to number 4. But you were about to have another huge hit, which was Little Children, which knocked your fellow Liverpudlian Cilla Black off the top spot after 4 weeks. And you stayed at the top for 2 weeks. Where were you where the news broke?
I was in London. I was in London. I was in London at the time.
Right.
Obviously, we went out and celebrated. We had a good time.
What a place to celebrate as well.
Oh yeah, I remember I was at a hotel in London. So it was nice.
And did you have lots of screaming fans outside of the hotel?
Well, they didn't know anyone was there,
Right.
But it was exciting, and I remember we got like a telegram from the Beatles congratulating me and stuff like that.
Excellent. Now, what was it like appearing on Top of the Pops, and who were you on with?
Do I can't remember. I don't remember who was on with.
It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. It's a lot of. I did Top of the Pops with a lot of different people. I can't remember and stuff.
And what was the atmosphere like when you were there? How did you feel when you were going on? You've gone from 77 million viewers to now going to probably 20 million with Top of the Pops.
It's still, I'll be honest with you, it took a bit of getting used to. And I'll be honest with you, at the time, I was like so busy, that it was hard to take it all in. It's like there's a friend of mine, Liberty DeVito, played for Billy Joel for 30 years, and he was saying to me, the thing is, we went in the audience watching it.
Right.
So there's a lot of it we missed. We missed a lot. We missed that side, we weren't spectators, and I get that, I was doing so much at the time. Life was going so fast. It was, it's like being on a roller coaster.
Yes, life in the fast lane, as they say as well. But Top of the Pops, I've heard that it was quite an ordeal the day sometimes because it was a long day.
It was a long day, you had to go first thing in the morning. You had to do rehearsals all day long, and then you did dress rehearsals, and then you did the final take. It was a lot of work.
A lot of work, but it all paid off. Now, in the summer of 1964, you released From a Window, which is actually a personal favourite of mine, if you don't mind me saying. And it was another Lennon and McCartney penned hit, which actually got as high as number 10 in the UK top 40. Did you find that more groups were coming on the scene, changing the musical landscape at that time?
Did I find who what?
Did you find that there were a lot of groups coming on the scene that were changing the musical landscape?
Oh yes, there was a lot of different groups coming along, and you just had to go along with it,
Because there was like the Jerry and the Pacemakers and obviously the Beatles and such like, and some of the solo artists, they were like, they were popular still, but not getting those high number ones.
Oh no, I mean, because you had people like the Kinks coming along, Spencer Davis group, there was a lot. But that's just the music scene change. The music scene is always evolving and changing, And
especially in the 60s, it was so quick how things changed. Because from when you came on the scene, I could notice there that there was a lot of a change in the people in the charts and such, like Ray Charles and people like that. They were going like kind of out of fashion, and there was more need for all of the the fans were I should say the kids were all like changing their attitudes towards music, going into a bit more of a rebellion kind of thing against what people would be listening to the parents would be listening to.
Oh, sure. And it's funny because, I mean, sometimes I would go, if I went out the country on a tour, when I came back, I'd find that things had changed totally in a short, in a month or 6 weeks. It was changing so quickly. It was
Massive
hard to keep
turnover
up
on
with.
records as well.
It was hard to keep up with it.
Definitely. Now, your final hit to date in the UK Top 40 was the Burt Bacharach penned hit Planes and Boats and Trains, which hit as high as number 12 in 1965. What happened next for Billy J. Kramer and the Dakotas?
Well, I mean, as I said earlier, you go into a studio and you record songs and you give 100%, and you put them out there, and it's in the eye of the beholder. You never know. There's no way of telling it, and you can't go out and beat people over the head with a hammer and say you didn't buy my records.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a bit disappointing when you put a lot of work into a record, and then it just doesn't happen. But you have to learn, to accept it, that you can't always be on there.
That's right, and I suppose a lot of people who back then will have because you are managed so well, you'll have been able to not like these days. Some artists, they'll come on the scene and they'll make money and then they'll just go and squander it. A lot of people from the 60s particularly, kept a bit aside there for the future, as it were, because they didn't know what was going to happen next.
There was that to it, and the business is changing, and you get into different things like that. Like I was saying to you earlier, I got into I did the cabaret circuit, and people say, "Oh, cabaret, that was a bad word," but we went doing these clubs, and we were doing the same thing as what we were doing on theatres, doing the same songs. But I mean, I was talking to you earlier about, I did the Bailey's clubs. I did them all over the country.
Yeah.
Then I did a thing like I hosted a children's TV show. I did Christmas shows. I did pantomimes. Then I did summer seasons. I don't know how much that's changed in the UK now. I don't think there's the nightclub scene the way it was. I used to come to South Shields. I used to come to Newcastle, Middlesbrough, Stockton-on-Tees, and it was fantastic. It was a fantastic period.
Yeah, everything is wound down a bit now, especially in South Shields, I know that. But Newcastle, there's still things happening there in various places. And I'll tell you what it is, a lot of the venues in Newcastle and Sunderland, they are very, very popular, for people going there. And even people have dining experiences. They'll go and have a pizza and they'll watch somebody perform. Have you got that over in the States?
Not done a lot of that in the States. I've done things like package shows. And I'm I'm going off doing a cruise and different stuff like that.
Excellent. Yes, you've definitely kept your hand in as well, which is really good. You've kept yourself very busy. Now, let's get bang up to date. And your new album, Are You With Me, is a fabulous album, and your single, I Couldn't Have Done It Without You, has a personal story. Please, could you tell us about that?
Well, when I was going to Abbey Road to make an album, they had my 60th anniversary there. We had a party. We did a show in the studio. We did a show there. And then we did the album. And, before then, I picked out 10 songs I was going to record. And then this guy, Mark Hudson, calls me up and he says, the song we were talking about? I said, yeah. Well, he said, I've written it and I'll send it to you. And when I heard it, I just thought it was so good I had to do it. And it's a tribute to Brian Epstein, to George Martin, to the Beatles, and to everybody that helped me. I couldn't have done it without you.
Definitely, and it is a beautiful song as well, and we're gonna play that in a moment. Now, what was the inspiration behind the album?
It was just that, I'm always, um, listening to songs. I'm always getting songs from people, and I'll be honest with you. If it wouldn't have been Abbey Road, I wouldn't have made an album anyway. It was
No.
something it was something that I do. I've always, I had an album out about 8 years ago. I won the fight, and I just kept on recording songs.
Yeah.
And when I got the opportunity to go to Abbey Road, I just went back and looked in my little library of what I had.
Yeah.
You know.
Because Abbey Road, it'll have been like wearing an old pair of slippers, I suppose, going back to where things all began for you and such like. And it'll have been just such a wonderful, a nice, cozy feeling to be recording there again.
Yeah, it was, and it was also, brought back a lot of memories of, and I was in that studio where John Lennon sat at the piano and played me "Bad to Me" and "I Call Your Name," and Paul came along and we did "From a Window" and all these great songs. It was.
And did it give you? Did it feel like? Did you feel the vibes that you did back then when you walked into Abbey Road? Did you feel that electricity?
Yeah, you can't help but feel that it's iconic. You know what I mean? You just think of all. Let's face it. You go there. I mean, I made them hits, and you think of all the hits, the Beatles, and people like there's so many people recorded there. It's an iconic place.
I bet you'll have been standing there singing and looking through the glass and going, "Hey, George, am I doing all right?"
Yeah, of course.
Beautiful.
Of course.
Absolutely beautiful it is. Now, do you have any future plans that you can tell us about?
Well, I'm going back to Abbey Road to do a thing there, and then I'm doing the Fest for Beatle fans here in the States in August,
Wow.
and then I'm going over to England to Liverpool. I'm going doing a thing at the Beatle Museum.
Excellent. And Liverpool is actually featured a lot in your video. I couldn't have done it without you.
Oh, and I had a single before that, "Are You With Me?" And we did the two videos while we were in Liverpool last year. And it was amazing because I'll be honest with you, it was just me and the guy with the camera walking through. We never wrote a script or anything. We just, it was one of them days where everything just worked out for us. It was great.
It looks great as well. So everyone will have to check out those two videos there if you get yourself over to YouTube. Are You With Me? And also, I couldn't have done it without you. Now, the vinyl revival is here, so I must ask, what was the first record you ever bought, and what is your favourite record if you were to play me one on a record player today?
Hello. I think one of the first. I think like most kids, I bought "That'll Be the Day" by Buddy Holly.
Right, that's excellent. Great track.
Yeah, I think it'd be, but I bought a lot of Buddy Holly records. Maybe Eddie Cochran, "Come On Everybody."
Do you think that would be do you think that would be one of your favourites if you put that on the turntable for me and said, "Phil, this is my favourite"?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I like that one. Come on, everybody.
Yeah.
Excellent. A great choice there, Billy. Now, unfortunately, you're not going to believe this. We've run out of time. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, it's sad.
So it is sad, yes. Get the violins out. But I'll tell you what it is, Billy. It's been such a privilege having you on the show. And I just couldn't believe it. When your song dropped into my inbox, I was going, I do not believe this. This is amazing. Billy J. Kramer on my show. That is a dream come true. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. It's been great.
It's been wonderful. Well, finally, would it be possible for you to introduce your latest single, I Couldn't Have Done It Without You, taken from your new album, Are You With Me?
This is Billy J. Kramer, and this is my latest single from my album, Are You With Me? It's called I Couldn't Have Done It Without You.
Billy J. Kramer, thank you so much for joining me on the show. And would you like to come on the show again in the future, or have I frightened you away?
Absolutely. It would be a pleasure, Phil. Anytime at all.
Excellent, Billy. Well, all the best, and we'll speak to you soon. And take care. It'll be lovely to catch up with you again on another show.
Thank you very much.